What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Interview Studio at San Diego Comic-Con 2025, where I get to talk to the duo behind Keeper, Tatiana, Osgood.
Hi.
Always lovely seeing you both.
Thank you.
I don't really like asking these types of questions, but I have no choice because the marketing team for your movie is doing a really good job at hiding all of the secrets. Can one of you give me a brief synopsis of Keeper? Go.
Keeper is a sort of more or less a single location horror movie in the classical sense about a couple who spend a night or two in his cabin near a brook, and things get gnarly for both of them, really. That's important, I think, a distinction. It's not a subjective thing. No one's a subject, no one's a victim. Well, it's not even true to say, but both are sort of in their own problematic situations.
Follow-ups. Is there a reason you put that emphasis on his cabin? Does that kind of play into their dynamic at all?
Sure, only in the sense that he knows more about the place than she does, but that doesn't necessarily help him. This is like playing charades or something. This is like... This is like
Taboo, that game Taboo.
Or when you play a game with your kid, you're like,
words.
how many words can you say? How long can you talk without using the letter E?
Or you answer my questions and you do one word each until we've made a full sentence. I'm okay with that. Oz, is there any particular reason that the idea for Keeper came to you when it did and you wound up making the movie when you did? Because it is coming out after, oh my God, it was Longlegs,
The monkey,
and now Keeper's coming out, but you shot Keeper before the monkey.
We did. So we had a lot of creative momentum going after Longlegs, and we were all ready to go do the monkey. And then there was a strike, the writer's strike and the actor's strike, which really threatened to go on for a long time. There was a minute there when everyone sort of thought the world was going to crack before the strike broke. And so we said, how can we keep working in a way that's legit? So we had a script written by a Canadian fellow named Nicolas, who's a wonderful writer. And as he was writing, we were meeting. And as we were meeting, the producers were finding locations. And it was this sort of impressionistic painting story that we did, where as the writer was writing, the director was directing, and the other departments were doing their thing. We were sort of developing it like a jazz band, sort of finding it. I know it sounds so kind of goofy and highfalutin, but it's true.
Oh, it doesn't. I'm going to follow up on that a little because we were discussing that on Ladies' Night, and I find that process fascinating. But before I get there, can you give us the 101 on your character? And I guess first, does she have a name?
Her name is Liz. And what to tell you about Liz? This is her first time going out to this cabin with a guy who she's been with for a while. And
does Rossif play the guy?
The guy is Rossif.
Rossif
Sutherland.
is the guy.
There's a guardedness about her. She's hard to reach, but she's very much in love with this guy, Malcolm.
And he with her.
What does she like most about him?
I mean, I feel like that is a hard question to answer.
For spoilers?
For spoilers, and also just like probably for spoilies.
I gotta tell you, I kind of like playing detective. I feel like more often than not, I am overly researched and I've watched a movie 500 times. Putting the pieces together is very exciting. The next piece I wanted to put together comes from something you told me during our Ladies' Night chat. You mentioned that working with Maika Cade helped you find who she was. Now that we're able to talk about the movie a little more in depth, is there any particular piece of that costume design that really put her into focus for you?
Yeah, there's a few things, but there's this like red sweater that became the red sweater. And it's kind of just this graphic, beautiful thing in the middle of, I think what's so amazing about Keeper is that it's very, like you were saying, it's like a painting. It's gorgeous. The locations were so lush and dark, and there's things to be seen in all parts of the frame. And for Liz to be wearing this very bright red sweater is like such a statement within this like very natural. She doesn't totally like the poster says, I don't belong here. Is that what it is? This place isn't right for me.
Place isn't right for me.
So there's something in that about that sweater.
Oh, I like that visual. Just curious, what does he wear in contrast to that?
Nothing.
He's
naked.
nude.
He's naked all the time. He's a nudist. He's one of those naked and afraid.
He is
and
wearing
twist.
lonely.
I wasn't
skin
expecting.
socks, though.
Just skin socks.
No one's gonna know what we're talking about.
He's a
with skin
doctor. He's a
socks.
doctor. He's
Yeah.
a doctor. He wears sort of business casual.
Okay, I'll take
He's
that.
got money. He's got a
He's a
cabin.
moneyed doctor.
Tatiana, one thing I love about all of your work is that it feels like you are fearless. Swing for the fences every single time. Can you tell me something about making Keeper that made you swing bigger than ever or flex your acting muscles in a new way?
Yes, I mean, working with Oz was, I mean, the like you were saying, the process was so kind of rough and ready. Like it was just, the story was very strongly there, but all of the sort of in between moments and the discovery of things based on where we were shooting, and the discovery of things based on who was cast, and things that were accidents and ways that I think we talked about it a little bit, but there was that one scene where we showed up and I was like, this on the couch or something, and you're like, just stay there like that.
Yeah.
And it's not written that way necessarily, but it's like a kind of, there was a lot of like, in this moment we're this moment knows more than we do about what this is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and this kind of making a movie this way is only possible with people who, like Tatiana, who bring things into 3 dimensions or 4 dimensions, right? It's like there's a, I think when you're making a movie, from my point of view, you can start to see things in a certain way, and then it becomes 2-dimensional, right? You're like, I see this thing, here are the edges, here's the frame, here's the thing that I see. And then Tatiana's the type of actor who comes to you and is like, you know what, it's actually a 3-dimensional, it's actually a cube. And if we turn it this way and that way, you'll see that there's something on every side that's different. And that is really great catnip for the whole crew to be like, oh, you'd think that she'd be acting this way in this scene, or she would feel this, but what if it's not, you're not rolling a 1, you're rolling a 5, and that 5 is actually feels this, and that informs kind of how you approach the thing, which is why my job is easy when people around me are brilliant. And that's if anybody wants any advice about making a movie, just make sure everyone else around you is a genius and you'll do fine.
It's so true. I'll lean into that a little more because we know your work. I'm familiar with Rossif's work, but I was looking at the ensemble for this. There's a lot of newer people that I don't really know just yet. And I'll preface this question by saying it's unfair. I'm sure they're all great, but if you each had the opportunity to shout out one other person in this movie where you would say to people like, you're not going to believe what they're capable of doing in this film, who would it be and why?
There's only really 2 other leads. Eden Von Weiss, whose first movie, she's a person, she's an influencer, I believe. I don't know things like this because I don't have the social media, but from what I understand, she's available in that medium. It was her first job. She has very few lines of dialogue. They're spoken with a really intense sort of Romanian accent, which she's from Vancouver. She just did it beautifully the first time. She's really funny, really brave person. I think her thing is like outdoorsiness. So she's like not afraid of bears and stuff. Oh. And then the other one is Rossif's cousin in the movie, played by this guy Burkett Turton, who was brilliant. Brilliant. He has 2 scenes. Brilliant. So everybody's really great. Brilliant.
And we'll shout out one final person in it who plays Liz's best friend, who is my best friend in real life, Tess Dagenstein, who I've known since I was 7, and we used to make movies together.
And she's the realtor in The Monkey. She's the realtor in The Red who gets blown up with the shotgun in the closet. She's a gift.
She's a dream.
We spoke a little bit about her last time.
Yeah.
I love putting someone like that in the spotlight.
She's the best.
Oz, we were just digging into your process a little, so I'll ask you this question. Is there a directing first you experienced making Keeper?
Yeah, because I wasn't in control of the script. Like, I wasn't in control of the writing of the script, so I had to take what was coming my way and understand what it means, understand what it means to me, understand how it plays, understands how the actor sees it. So there was that sort of once removed between me and the words, which was really freeing and inspiring. And like I say, because everybody was bringing this sort of multifaceted approach to things, and we were discovering it in real time. It was all of it was very fluid, and there was no pressure. There was no money at stake. The time was brief. We were just sort of doing it like very playfully and weirdly, and she's very weird, and I'm very weird.
Weird is good.
And we found weird things.
I will say that the first day I was incredibly nervous because I was like, oh, I think we're making something really special. Like I remember the first take, I was like shaking. And it wasn't necessarily a moment that, I don't know if you know, you probably knew this because you're watching me, which sucks.
I saw it.
But I felt incredibly vulnerable. I was like, oh, I think we're doing something that's going to be really exciting.
To compare that, because again, I think you're fearless in everything you do, to compare that experience and feeling that vulnerable on this set to something else, I guess, is there a particular role, film, or show that demanded the most fearlessness, or maybe a moment within that film or show? And how does that compare to day one on Keeper and that sense of vulnerability you felt there?
I mean, it's always there in different ways, but different things will bring it up, whether it's like this scene is huge and it's an emotional blah, 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 and I have to hit something. But this wasn't like, this scene was kind of inconspicuous but the vulnerability is like, oh, I'm like revealing how much I care about this project. Be in this, you know what I mean? Like I'm an actor right now trying to just be cool and like do my work, but right now I'm just like overwhelmed with like, this is very exciting to be among all of these creatives and all of that. So it's like different things. Every project, I'm always scared.
I love that thought. So if you're not scared, it's not worth it.
Totally.
Not taking a risk, and then what's the point? I don't want to box your movie into a specific horror subgenre.
Please do.
That is something I am very curious about because Longlegs and The Monkey are so incredibly different. So how would you compare the type of horror Keeper is, to those two movies?
I mean, like I said, it sort of wears the vestments of a cabin in the woods, single location, something trippy is going on in this space movie. But in reality, it's sort of relationship horror. Like, why are relationships so weird and hard? Who are we really? What is this about? How does this end? Why did this start? Can we go back to before we knew each other? Like, wouldn't that be something? In certain relationships, we get to the end of it and it's just like, what would be amazing is if I could just have never known you ever at all. That would be fine with me. And so I think it's a little bit that kind of, that's the sauce of the movie is sort of like relationships and what they kind of do to us.
I love how Neon right now is dominating relationship horror. I'm very
Neon's
much here
dominating
for it.
everything. In case you haven't noticed,
honestly, so accurate.
Ever heard of the Cannes Film Festival?
I can get behind that statement. I'm a very big fan of Neon.
Me too.
I want to end on one unrelated question because it was after you came in for Ladies' Night that I went back and decided to re-listen to all the Hunger Games books, and I was so happy to hear that you did that.
Oh, yeah.
Just a for fun question, and because I left listening to them curious about this, of all the voices that you had to do for those books, which came the most naturally to you? Where like the second you tried it, it just worked, but then I want to know which character was the most challenging to find the pitch perfect voice for.
I don't know why PETA was really hard for me. I was like, who's a guy? What's a guy sound like? I'd never really done like a full audiobook before, and this was like an intense one, and there's so many characters. And I remember working with Scott Sherritt, who was the like director of it, and he was so great about like being like, you just sort of find little modulations. I have a lot of respect for people who do that stuff because it's not easy.
I don't know how much you remember this, but do you have any, I guess, like voice modulation buttons you can push to turn on certain characters?
There's definitely like placement in the mouth or something in the mask of the face. Don't say anything about it. Don't. I said don't. Okay, now I want to know what you were going to say.
No, I was going to say, I was watching an actor recently who's Norwegian do American accent, and after a scene, she's like, my jaw hurts so much because English has so much movement, whereas Norwegian is it's right here. So there's that. That's all I have to contribute.
Totally. Jaw stuff.
You're incredible in that, though.
Thanks.
Someone doing. I mean, really, like any audiobook narration just fascinates me. I think being an actor in general on screen is something else, but being able to make me like hear your voice in all those roles and picture those roles, that's a real feat.
Cool.
Congratulations on that. Way late. Congratulations in advance on Keeper. I cannot wait to see what you two have cooked up next.
Thanks. I think you'll find it pretty groovy.